Commander Zaxtor stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking down at the blue and green planet below. Earth floated peacefully in space, unaware of what was about to happen. The alien commander's purple skin glowed with satisfaction as he watched his fleet of 200 ships surround the small world. Such a primitive planet, Zaxtor said to his second-in-command, Krell. Look at them. They still use chemical rockets and primitive weapons. Their military forces are scattered across different nations. They have no unified space defense. Krell nodded, his 4 arms crossed over his chest. The Galactic Council calls them a Level 2 civilization. They haven't even colonized their own moon properly. This conquest will be finished before the next solar rotation. The invasion plan was simple. The Thraxian Empire had conquered dozens of worlds, and Earth would be no different. Their advanced energy weapons, shield technology, and combat suits made them nearly invincible. The humans' projectile weapons would be useless against their defenses. Begin the invasion, Zaxtor commanded. Send the first wave to their major cities. Show them the might of the Thraxian Empire. Hundreds of drop pods launch from the warships, streaking through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Inside each pod, Thraxian soldiers checked their weapons and prepared for an easy victory. Their combat suits could withstand explosions, their personal shields could deflect bullets, and their plasma rifles could vaporize any Earth material. The first pods landed in the Amazon rainforest of Brazil. The Thraxians had chosen this location as a staging area, believing the dense jungle would hide their forces as they prepared to attack South American cities. Lieutenant Vexnor led the first ground unit, 50 soldiers strong, as they emerged from their pods. What a disgusting place, Vexnor complained, looking at the thick vegetation around them. The air was humid and filled with strange sounds. Insects buzzed everywhere, and the canopy above blocked most of the sunlight. These Earth creatures live like animals. The Thraxians activated their combat visors, which highlighted heat signatures and movement. They expected to see primitive human settlements or maybe some local wildlife. Instead, they saw nothing but plants and small creatures. No humans appeared on their scanners. Move forward, Vexnor ordered. The humans must be hiding in their cities. This jungle is empty. They pushed through the undergrowth, their heavy armor-crushing plants, and small trees. The Thraxians laughed at how easy it was. Earth's wilderness was just another obstacle to overcome. They had conquered ice worlds, desert planets, and toxic wastelands. A simple jungle meant nothing to them. After an hour of marching, Private Kelvar stopped suddenly. Sir, I'm detecting something strange. My visor shows a heat signature, but I can't see anything. Vexnor checked his own scanner. There was indeed a faint heat reading about 200 meters ahead, but it was partially masked by the surrounding vegetation. Probably just another Earth animal. Keep moving. The moment Kelvar took another step, his head exploded. There was no sound of a weapon firing. No flash of light. No warning. 1 second, Kelvar was walking, and the next, he was falling backward with a hole through his helmet. Purple blood sprayed across the jungle floor. Shields up. We're under attack, Vexnor shouted. The Thraxians activated their personal energy shields, creating shimmering blue bubbles around their bodies. They raised their plasma rifles, scanning frantically for enemies. Their advanced sensors showed nothing. No heat signatures, no movement, no weapons fire. Another soldier fell. The shot had punched through his shield like it wasn't even there, entering through a tiny gap where the helmet met the chest armor. The soldier dropped without a sound. Where are they? A Thraxian screamed. I can't see anything. Panic began to spread through the unit. They were trained to fight enemies they could see, armies that stood and fought with honor. But here in the jungle, death came silently from nowhere. Another soldier fell, then another. Each shot was perfectly placed, finding the smallest gaps in their armor, the weakest points in their shields. Return fire. Burn the whole jungle, Vexnor commanded. The Thraxians opened fire with their plasma rifles, sending beams of superheated energy in all directions. Trees burst into flames, and the undergrowth turned to ash. They created a circle of destruction around themselves, eliminating any cover the enemy might use. For a moment, there was silence. The Thraxians stood in their burned clearing, breathing heavily inside their helmets. 5 of their soldiers were dead, killed by an enemy they never saw. "Sir," one soldier whispered, "what if the humans aren't as primitive as we thought?" Before Vexnor could answer, something small rolled into their clearing. It was a metal cylinder, about the size of a Thraxian's fist. The aliens stared at it in confusion for half a second before it exploded. The blast wasn't particularly powerful by Thraxian standards. Their shields and armor protected them from the shrapnel. But the explosion released a thick cloud of smoke that their visors couldn't penetrate. Suddenly, they were blind. More cylinders rolled in from different directions. The smoke grew thicker, and strange chemical smells filled the air. The Thraxians' advanced filtration systems kept the smoke out, but they couldn't see more than a meter in front of them. Then, the shooting started again. Soldiers fell one by one, each killed by a single precise shot. The Thraxians fired wildly into the smoke, their plasma beams creating brief tunnels of clear air that revealed nothing. They tried to form defensive positions, but every movement was met with another deadly shot. "Retreat!" Vexnor screamed. "Back to the pods!" The survivors ran, stumbling through the smoke and flames. Only 20 of the original 50 made it back to their landing site. As they prepared to launch, Vexnor looked back at the jungle. He thought he saw movement in the trees, just for a second. A figure wrapped in vegetation, holding a long rifle, watching them leave. The figure didn't pursue. It simply melted back into the jungle, becoming invisible once again. Back on the warship, Commander Zaxtor listened to Vexnor's report in disbelief. "You lost 30 soldiers to primitive projectile weapons? That's impossible." "Sir, these weren't regular soldiers," Vexnor insisted. "They were something else. Hunters. Ghosts. They knew exactly where to hit us, exactly how to hide from our sensors. They turned our technology against us." Zaxtor dismissed the report. "You were simply caught off guard. Send in the heavy assault units. Burn that jungle to the ground if necessary. Show these humans what real warfare looks like." But as more drop pods descended toward Earth, human satellites tracked their every movement. In hidden bunkers, military commanders smiled grimly. The aliens had made a fatal mistake. They had chosen to land in Earth's most dangerous territories, places where humans had learned to become deadlier than any predator. The jungle snipers were just the beginning. Earth's wilderness had many more surprises waiting for the overconfident invaders. Major Sarah Chun lay perfectly still in her hidden position, her body covered in mud and vegetation. She had been motionless for 6 hours, waiting for the next wave of alien invaders. Through her rifle scope, she watched the sky as more drop pods descended toward the Amazon rainforest. "Ghost Team, this is Eagle Eye," she whispered in her throat mic. 20 pods incoming, grid reference 27 Alpha. "Looks like they're bringing the heavy units this time." Around her, hidden throughout the jungle, 30 of Earth's most elite snipers acknowledged her message with simple clicks. They were from different countries: Brazilian Special Forces, American Navy SEALs, British SAS, Russian Spetsnaz, and others. When the aliens arrived, old rivalries had vanished. Now they were all simply human, fighting for their world. Sarah was part of an emergency response team formed when the first alien scouts were detected months ago. While politicians debated and argued, Earth's military forces had quietly prepared. They studied the alien technology from crashed scout ships, learned their weak points, and developed new tactics. The aliens' advanced technology was impressive, but it had made them arrogant. They relied too heavily on their sensors and shields, forgetting the simple truths of warfare. A patient hunter could defeat any prey, no matter how powerful. The drop pods crashed through the canopy, landing with ground-shaking impacts. This time, massive doors opened to reveal Thraxian heavy assault units, 3-meter-tall walking tanks covered in thick armor. Each unit carried weapons that looked like small artillery pieces. "Those are some big boys," whispered Corporal Jake Williams, Sarah's spotter. Our rifles might not penetrate that armor. Sarah studied the walking tanks through her scope. The aliens had learned from their first defeat. These units had no gaps in their armor, no weak points visible. They moved in formation, covering each other, scanning constantly with multiple sensor arrays. We stick to the plan, Sarah replied. Let them come deeper. The jungle has many ways to kill. The heavy assault units advanced through the forest, burning everything in their path. Their weapons vaporized trees and turned the ground to glass. They created a wide corridor of destruction, eliminating any cover. Behind them, regular Thraxian soldiers followed in tight formations. Captain Miguel Santos of the Brazilian Special Forces watched from his position high in a tree. He and his team had spent days preparing this section of jungle. Every tree, every stream, every piece of ground had been mapped and trapped. The aliens were walking into a carefully prepared killing field. Wait for it, Miguel whispered to his team. Let them all enter the zone. The Thraxians continued their advance, confident in their overwhelming firepower. They had fought on 100 worlds and never encountered effective resistance from a primitive species. Their commander, Major Draxel, watched the sensor readings with satisfaction. No human heat signatures, no weapons detected. The cowards have fled, Draxel announced. Continue the advance. We'll reach their cities by nightfall. That's when the ground beneath the lead-heavy assault unit collapsed. The aliens had been so focused on scanning for enemies that they hadn't noticed the carefully camouflaged pit trap. The walking tank fell 15 meters into a hole filled with sharpened logs coated in toxic tree sap. The logs couldn't pierce the armor, but the impact damaged the unit's leg joints. It crashed at the bottom, unable to climb out. Trap! Draxel shouted. All units, maximum alert. But it was too late. The jungle came alive with hidden dangers. Massive logs swung from the canopy, smashing into heavy units with tremendous force. While the armor protected them from damage, the impacts knocked them off balance, sending them tumbling into ravines and rivers. Cables hidden in the undergrowth tangled around mechanical legs. Units that stepped into loops found themselves yanked upward, hanging upside down from reinforced trees. Their weapons fired wildly, destroying more jungle but hitting no enemies. Sir, we're losing units to primitive traps, a soldier reported to Draxel. They're using the terrain against us. Then the snipers opened fire. This time, they didn't aim for the heavily armored units. Instead, they targeted the regular soldiers following behind. Special armor-piercing rounds, developed from studying alien materials, punched through shields and found gaps in armor. Each shot was carefully planned, each kill designed to create maximum confusion. Sarah Chun put a round through an alien officer's visor at 800 meters. The bullet was a tungsten penetrator with a ceramic tip, designed specifically to defeat energy shields. She immediately rolled to a new position, knowing the aliens would target her last location. All around the killing field, snipers fired and moved, fired and moved. They had mapped every shooting position, every escape route. The aliens' return fire hit empty positions, destroying trees where humans had been seconds before. Use the gas, Draxel ordered. Flood the area with toxins. The heavy units that were still mobile launch canisters that released purple clouds of poison gas. The chemical weapon was lethal to most carbon-based life forms, designed to kill everything in a wide area. But Earth soldiers were prepared. Their sealed suits and rebreathers, hastily manufactured using captured alien technology, protected them from the worst effects. Some animals died, and plants withered, but the snipers continued their deadly work. Sergeant Ana Rodriguez of the Mexican Special Forces had a different mission. While the snipers kept the aliens distracted, she and her team moved through underground tunnels they had dug weeks ago. They emerged behind enemy lines, carrying human-made explosives and captured alien weapons. Demo team in position, Ana reported. Beginning sabotage operations. They attached explosives to the trapped heavy units, targeting joint mechanisms and weapon systems. The bombs were primitive by alien standards, but effectively placed. When they detonated, they didn't destroy the units, but crippled them, leaving them immobile and defenseless. The psychological effect on the Thraxians was devastating. They were used to enemies who fought with honor, who met them in open battle. These humans fought like the jungle itself, hidden, patient, and utterly ruthless. Every shadow could hide a sniper. Every step could trigger a trap. Every moment brought new dangers. "We need to retreat," a Thraxian lieutenant urged Draxol. "We're losing too many units." "The Thraxian Empire does not retreat from primitives," Draxol roared. But even as he spoke, another heavy unit toppled as explosives destroyed its leg servos. Another squad of soldiers fell to sniper fire. The jungle was eating his army alive. High above in the trees, Sarah Chun watched the aliens' growing panic through her scope. She had studied military history, knew how superior forces could be defeated by guerrilla tactics. The Vietnamese had done it to the Americans. The Afghans had done it to the Soviets. Now Earth was doing it to the Thraxians. "All teams, this is Eagle Eye," she broadcast. "Phase 2 begins now. Drive them to the river." The snipers shifted their fire patterns, deliberately leaving one direction open for retreat. The demo teams detonated more explosives, creating obstacles that herded the aliens toward the Amazon River. It seemed like the Thraxians were finding a way out, a path to safety. Draxol took the bait. "All units, move to the river. We'll regroup there and call for extraction." The retreating aliens stumbled through the jungle, abandoning damaged units and carrying wounded soldiers. They could see the wide river ahead, an open space where their dropships could land. Safety was just meters away. They burst out of the jungle onto the riverbank and stopped in horror. The river was full of bodies. Thraxian bodies. Not just from their unit, but from dozens of other landing sites. Purple blood stained the water as alien corpses floated downstream. All along both riverbanks, human snipers rose from concealed positions. Sarah Chin stood up from her hiding spot, her rifle aimed at Draxol's head. Around her, hundreds of Earth's finest soldiers emerged from cover. They had turned the entire river valley into a trap, knowing the aliens would retreat here. "Surrender," Sarah called out in accented Thraxian, learned from capture translation devices. "You have lost. Your empire underestimated Earth. We are not prey. We are predators." Draxol looked around at his depleted forces. Of the 300 soldiers who had landed, fewer than 50 remained combat effective. The humans had destroyed Earth's most advanced military unit using tricks, traps, and primitive weapons. It was impossible, but it had happened. As the Thraxian commander raised his arms in surrender, he asked one question. How? How did primitives defeat the Empire's finest warriors? Sarah smiled grimly. "You made the mistake of fighting us in our element. Humans didn't become Earth's dominant species by being weak. We became dominant by being clever, patient, and absolutely ruthless when threatened. Your technology made you overconfident. Our jungle made us lethal." The captured aliens were secured as more human forces emerged from the jungle. Earth's military commanders would study these prisoners, learn more about their technology and weaknesses. The war was far from over, but humanity had won its first major victory. In orbit, Commander Zaxtor watched the disaster unfold through satellite feeds. His mighty invasion force was being torn apart by an enemy that shouldn't exist, primitive humans who fought with the cunning of apex predators. The jungle had become a meat grinder for his troops. "Sir," Krell said quietly, "perhaps we should reconsider this invasion. These humans are not what we expected." Zaxtor's purple skin flushed with rage. "Send everything. All units, all weapons. Burn their jungles, destroy their forests, leave nothing but ash. I will not be defeated by primitives." But even as he gave the order, doubt crept into his mind. If the humans could do this in their jungles, what other surprises waited in their mountains, deserts, and frozen wastelands? What kind of species turned their entire planet into a weapon? The answer would come soon enough, and the Thraxian Empire would learn why humans had never needed to conquer the stars. They'd been too busy conquering each other, becoming the deadliest warriors in the galaxy without ever leaving their world. Commander Zaxtor stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session, his once proud posture now bent with defeat. The holographic forms of representatives from 50 different species watched as he delivered his report on the failed Earth invasion. His purple skin had lost its healthy glow, and his 4 eyes showed the strain of the past month. Honored council members, Zaxtor began, his voice heavy with shame. I stand before you to report the complete failure of the Thraxian Empire's mission to conquer Earth. We have lost over 80% of our invasion force. Our remaining ships are in retreat. Gasps and whispers filled the virtual chamber. The Thraxian Empire had never failed to conquer a primitive world. Their military might was legendary throughout the galaxy. This is impossible, declared Ambassador Crix of the Zilani Federation. Earth is classified as a Level 2 civilization. They don't even have faster-than-light travel. How could they defeat your forces? Zaxtor activated a holographic display showing battle footage from Earth. We made a critical error in our assessment. We judged Earth by its technology alone, not by the nature of its inhabitants. The humans are different from any species we have encountered. The footage showed Thraxian forces being systematically destroyed across Earth's various terrains. In the Arctic, white-clad human snipers emerged from the snow like ghosts, picking off alien patrols. In the deserts, they struck from hidden positions among the dunes, using the heat and sandstorms to mask their presence. In the mountains, they triggered avalanches and rock slides, burying entire Thraxian units. Their world has made them into perfect killers, Zaxtor continued. Every environment on Earth has produced humans adapted to kill in that terrain. When we landed in their jungles, we faced humans who had evolved to be invisible predators. They call them snipers, warriors who kill from distances our sensors cannot detect. On Earth, Sarachin sat in a debriefing room with military leaders from around the world. The walls were covered with captured alien technology and tactical maps. General James Morrison of the United States Marine Corps was speaking. The aliens' retreat gives us breathing room, but they'll be back, Morrison said. We need to prepare for a second wave, possibly with different tactics. We've learned much from the prisoners, added Colonel Yuki Tanaka of the Japanese Self-Defense Forces. Their technology is advanced, but their military doctrine is outdated. They're used to overwhelming force and direct confrontation. They've never faced asymmetric warfare. Sarah nodded. Their reliance on technology is their weakness. They trust their sensors more than their instincts. In the jungle, we turn that against them. But we can't rely on the same tactics twice. Dr. Hans Müller, a German scientist studying alien technology, raised his hand. I made a breakthrough with their shield generators. By modifying our ammunition with a specific electromagnetic pulse, we could disrupt their personal shields for several seconds. It's not much, but it gives our snipers a larger window. What about their space fleet? Asked General Nikolai Volkov of the Russian Federation. We can fight them on the ground, but we have no defense against orbital bombardment. Sarah smiled. Actually, we might. The prisoners revealed something interesting under interrogation. The Galactic Council has laws about planetary bombardment. If they glass our planet, they can't harvest its resources. Earth is valuable to them intact, not as a dead world. Back at the Galactic Council, Zaxtor was fielding hostile questions. You're telling us that primitive projectile weapons defeated plasma rifles and energy shields? Ambassador Thek of the Gorvani Collective asked incredulously. Not just the weapons, Zaxtor explained. It was their tactics, their patience, their understanding of warfare. They turned their planet's environments into weapons. They used primitive traps that our sensors couldn't detect. They employed psychological warfare that broke our soldiers' morale. He showed more footage, a Thraxian unit in a forest, jumping at every sound, firing at shadows. The soldiers were exhausted, paranoid, seeing snipers in every tree. Then, when they finally relaxed, thinking they were safe, a single shot would claim another life. They don't fight like civilized beings, Zaxtor said. They fight like predators. Patient, cunning, utterly ruthless. They strike from hiding, kill, and vanish. Our soldiers never saw them, only felt their presence. The fear alone killed our effectiveness. This is preposterous, scoffed Admiral Voss of the Kraken hegemony. Semi-forces. We'll show these primitives what real warfare looks like. With respect, Admiral, Zaxtor interrupted. You don't understand. The humans have been killing each other for thousands of years. They've perfected it to an art form. Every advancement in their technology has been used to kill more efficiently. They've turned murder into a science. On Earth, the United Human Forces were planning their next move. In underground bunkers shielded from alien sensors, the world's best military minds worked together for the first time in history. The Chinese have developed cloaking nets using modified alien stealth technology, reported General Li Wei. Our snipers can now hide from their thermal sensors completely. The Israelis have created a computer virus using captured alien data pads, added Colonel Ruth Goldman. If we can upload it to their ships, it will disrupt their communications. Sarah Chun studied the tactical displays. We need to take the fight to them. Show the galaxy that Earth is not an easy target. I propose Operation Ghost Strike. She outlined her plan. Elite sniper teams would board captured alien shuttles and infiltrate the retreating fleet. Once aboard the enemy ships, they would eliminate key personnel and sabotage critical systems. It was audacious, almost suicidal, but it would send a message. You're talking about taking the jungle tactics into space, General Morrison said slowly. Turn their ships into hunting grounds. Exactly. They fear our snipers. Let's give them nightmares. Small teams, moving through ventilation systems, maintenance corridors. Their ships are massive, perfect for hide-and-seek warfare. The plan was approved unanimously. Within days, volunteer teams were training in mock-ups of alien ship interiors, learning every hiding spot, every angle of attack. Earth's best snipers prepared for the most dangerous hunt of their lives. In space, what remained of the Thraxian fleet regrouped near Jupiter. Commander Zaxtor tried to maintain order, but morale was shattered. His soldiers spoke in whispers about the human ghosts who had hunted them. Some claimed the humans weren't really primitive. They must be secretly advanced, hiding their true capabilities. Sir, Krell reported nervously. 3 of our shuttles have returned from the surface. They're requesting permission to dock. Zaxtor checked the identification codes. Everything seemed correct, but after Earth, paranoia had infected everyone. Scan them thoroughly. Check for human life signs. Scans show only Thraxian life signs, sir. Our wounded soldiers coming home. The shuttles docked with 3 different ships in the fleet. Wounded Thraxian soldiers stumbled out, helped by their comrades. Medical teams rushed to assist them. Everything seemed normal. 20 minutes later, the killing began. Sarah Chun moved through the ventilation shaft of the Thraxian battlecruiser like a shadow. Her team had hidden among the wounded, using stolen alien biosignatures to fool the sensors. Now they were dispersed throughout the ship, each sniper choosing their hunting ground. Through her scope, she watched the bridge crew working at their stations. The aliens felt safe here, surrounded by their technology. They were about to learn that nowhere was safe from human hunters. Her first shot took out the navigation officer. The second eliminated the weapons controller. By the time the bridge crew realized they were under attack, 4 more were dead. Alarms blared as the Thraxians scrambled for cover. Throughout the fleet, similar scenes played out. Human snipers turned the alien ships into death traps. They shot out critical components, causing systems failures. They eliminated officers, creating chaos in the command structure. They moved constantly, never staying in one position, always one step ahead of the search teams. The psychological impact was even greater than the physical damage. The Thraxians had thought themselves safe in their ships. Now they learned that humans could reach them anywhere. Every shadow might hide a sniper. Every corridor could be a killing field. Abandoned ship. Zaxtor finally ordered as his flagship's life support systems failed. All units, abandon ship. The once mighty Thraxian fleet scattered, escape pods fleeing in all directions. Some headed for deep space, others toward the outer planets. But the message was clear: Earth had won. At the Galactic Council, the emergency session watched in stunned silence as live feeds showed the Thraxian fleet in chaos. Ships drifted powerless, escape pods scattered like seeds, and the humans' capture shuttles returned to Earth victorious. The humans must be sanctioned, Admiral Voss demanded. This is barbaric. They fight without honor. No, a new voice interrupted. It was Ambassador Zeta of the ancient races, beings so old and powerful they rarely participated in council affairs. The humans fight to survive. They use the tools they have, the skills their world taught them. We label them primitive because they lack our technology. We fail to see that they are apex predators, perfectly evolved for war. The ancient beings' words carried weight. I propose we reclassify Earth immediately, not as a Level 2 civilization, but as a Level 5 protected world. Any species that can defeat the Thraxian Empire with projectile weapons and cunning is too dangerous to provoke. The vote was unanimous. On Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the victory spread. But in secure facilities, military leaders were already planning for the future. They studied every piece of captured alien technology, every scrap of information for prisoners. Sarah Chun stood on a Brazilian hillside, looking up at the stars. Jake Williams stood beside her, both still in their ghillie suits. "Think they'll leave us alone now?" Jake asked. Sarah shook her head. "No, but they'll think twice before trying to invade again. We've shown the galaxy that Earth isn't easy prey. We're the hunters here." In the jungle behind them, new snipers were training. Earth's children learning the patient art of the hunt. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Technology meant nothing against a species that had turned killing into instinct. The age of human isolation was ending. Soon, Earth would reach for the stars. And when they did, the galaxy would tremble because the humans weren't coming as explorers or diplomats. They were coming as what they had always been, the deadliest predators evolution had ever produced. The jungle snipers were just the beginning. Earth's message to the universe was simple. We are here. We are watching, and we never miss.